What is up, you guys? I'm Charmix today. I'm going to be reacting to Film Theory. We found Neverland, a Disney Peter Pan by the film theorist. Now, I'm excited for this because I love Peter Pan, especially the movie with Robin Williams. That Peter Pan movie, it's probably one of my favorite, like, Disney kind of movies. I don't know if Disney actually made that one with Robin Williams, but, you know, nonetheless, I love Peter Pan, and that movie with Robin Williams is like my favorite Peter Pan movie. So yeah, anyway, hopefully this is going to be pretty awesome. But with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. Without any further ado, let's begin.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up.
That's a Toys R Us commercial? Rip.
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
After 70 years in business, Toys R Us announced yesterday it's closing its doors in America.
Looks like everyone has to grow up sometime, eh, Peter?
This is a side note, but I actually heard the creator of Barbie or something, some creator of like a doll, as actually trying to like buy Toys R Us. I don't know if they ended up doing it, but I know they were in talks of buying Toys R Us to keep the company alive. I don't know why they would do that, because I mean, obviously the business model is failing if they're, you know, bankrupt.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the Neverland of the Internet. That's Peter Pan's Neverland, not the creepy Michael Jackson Neverland. If you haven't guessed it yet, today we're exploring the world of Disney's favorite narcissistic tween heartthrob, Peter Pan.
What was that face? What was that face? Just wait a second. Look, look at this face. What? That's not the Peter Pan I remember.
Peter Pan. As you're probably aware, because I say this literally every Disney episode, growing up, I loved all the Disney movies, except for Pinocchio. But who didn't want to be Peter Pan? He had the ladies fighting over him constantly, which is kinda inexplicable when you think about what a creeper he actually is in his own movie. Ooh, here's a mystery boy who sneaks
Yeah, he was a little bit of a creeper.
into my bedroom at night and talks only about himself.
Give me a piece of that!
But really, the big draw here is obvious.
What?
Everyone wants to be able to stay a kid forever and play video games. And avoid the IRS, because taxes suck. But you can't be Peter Pan and stay young forever unless you figure out where Neverland is. And also grab some fairy dust and fly there and defeat some pirates. But one thing at a time, people. The geography is clearly the hardest part. Until today.
It's not on Earth though. Like in the movie, they fly into space or something, right? Like, remember it was follow go to the North Star or something like that? It's not on Earth. Neverland isn't on Earth. It's on a different planet. At least that's what I thought.
That's right. The mission for today is to find the geographic location of Neverland. Sounds absurd, right? But we're actually given plenty of hints throughout the movie and books. Second star to the right and straight on till morning and all that jazz. Even
Yeah. So wait, so you're not, I thought you actually had to fly to the star.
Barry's original book describes Peter and the Darling children flying over the ocean to get to Neverland, but he just never specifically says where they choose to land. In the original versions, there's no mention of a star at all. He just says second to the right and then straight on till morning. But I'm not talking hints. I am telling you today that I have definitively located Neverland, to the point that you can actually book your next vacation there and partake in all the swashbuckling and Native American themed racism you want. So sprinkle yourselves with theory dust and think happy thoughts. Next stop is Neverland.
So it's not on, I thought it was on a different planet or something. That's why people never, like, you know, they didn't age there or whatever. I guess maybe the reason why they maybe didn't age or whatever is because of, maybe the gravity of the planet was so, like, big or something that, I don't know, time was slower or something like that. Like, you know, in the movie Interstellar, how what they fly onto one planet, and the time they get back up into the space station, the main characters, this is a spoiler, but the main character's, you know, family was like all older now because they wasted too much time or something. That's what I thought, but I guess Neverland is on Earth, which I did not know.
Start, we need to remember that Wendy, John, and Michael Darling live in London. When Peter tells him that Neverland is the
second star to the right and straight on till morning,
it seems really vague, but actually the scene gives us plenty of clues to determine which direction they're headed. First, I compared this frame of the movie to constellations that could reasonably appear in the London night sky. While we don't get anything too conclusive, we can actually speculate that these stars here might be Mizar and Elcor, which are in similar positions to what we see in the movie, though in real life they should appear to be part of the Big Dipper constellation. Anyway, there's no need to get out your astrolabes just yet, because the good news is we actually don't need the exact stars that they're looking at. We can tell which direction the kids are facing just from the landmarks around them. After flying out of the nursery, the kids and Peter land on one of the sides of the Elizabeth Tower clock. The east side, to be specific. Now, I already hear you, but actually, people cracking your knuckles, preparing for a wave of comments saying, but actually, that's not Elizabeth Tower, that's Big Ben. But
that's what I thought.
Fun fact, Big Ben is the nickname of the bell inside of the Elizabeth Tower. So feel
Oh, I didn't know that.
free to annoy all your friends with your pedantic knowledge of London landmarks. Anyway, how can we tell that they're facing east? Well, look at the shot of Peter and the Darlings flying up to the clock. In the bottom right, we can see a statue of a horse rearing up, and that is in fact the statue known as the Boudiccan Rebellion statue, which commemorates an ancient Celtic queen who drove the Romans out of London. Yes, queen! That statue is located
I knew she was old, but I didn't know she was that old.
to the northeast of the tower. So they're landing on the east side. Going to the right would be them flying south. But we get an even more specific idea of the direction by tracking their flight. They fly over Westminster Bridge facing east, then they make a sharp turn over the bridge, so sharp that the camera has to rotate to follow Peter to head southwest. And that's the direction the camera follows them until they get to Neverland. TLDR, they're going south and west of London, which indicates that they're making a transatlantic flight towards the Americas. So now that we know they're headed to North or South America, we can look at a few other
So Neverland is in America? Or maybe an island? That's what it has to be an island, because Neverland itself is a little island, right? It's not like a massive freaking, you know, it's not this massive thing. It's a little island.
other factors to help us narrow down the search for Neverland. Judging by the map that we see of Neverland, we're looking at an island that's fairly small and features a number of inlets and lagoons. Typically, there are two types of lagoons in the Americas. Coastal lagoons, which are connected to the coastline of a much larger landmass, and atoll lagoons, which are more isolated and formed by coral reefs. By the looks of it, there are no major land masses in the waters around Neverland, so we can conclude that Neverland is an atoll. Now, atolls require coral reefs and tropical waters, so that narrows our search a lot, from the southern tip of Florida throughout the Caribbean and down through the coast of Brazil. But geography is just the beginning. We also know a lot about what's on that island, notably crocodiles. Assuming this crocodile didn't escape from the zoo or from Suicide Squad, though who can blame him for wanting to escape that movie, we can
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired!
pinpoint Neverland's location if we know the species of crocodile. There are only two species of crocodile indigenous to the waters around Latin America, Morlet's crocodile and the American crocodile. While both can take your hand off pretty darn well, Morlet's crocodile is a lot smaller than the American crocodile, at about 10 feet to 16 feet. Considering the fact that Captain Hook fit entirely inside this crocodile's mouth, we're much more likely to be looking at the American crocodile. Additionally, Morlet's crocodile is only found in freshwater environments, while the American crocodile is most often found in saltwater, like you'd find off the coast of an atoll. The only downside here is that the American crocodile is pretty widespread as far as man-eating reptiles go, so we're looking at pretty much the entire Caribbean in our hunt for Neverland. There are also a few other animals that I thought might narrow things down a bit more. J.M. Barrie says that there are sea turtles and flamingos in Neverland, but those are also found all around the Caribbean. The seagull that we see Smee shave doesn't narrow it down. The mermaids, for these I even looked at the habitats of manatees, which, believe it or not, are historically the animal most commonly associated with mermaid sightings, and that
Are they? Really? For a minute there, I was thinking Matt was actually gonna go around looking for mermaids.
still didn't narrow things down. So at that point, I ran out of animals and wasn't sure if I was looking at a dead end here. But it turns out that the last part of the theory doesn't hinge on the animals in Neverland, it hinges on the people. According to the source material for Peter Pan, Captain Hook was originally a bosun for Blackbeard the pirate. Now, Blackbeard was very busy pirating all over the east coast of America and the Caribbean from 1716 to 1718, which, when you stop and think about it,
2 years? He was only like a pirate for 2 years? What?
for carrying the title of the most famous non-fictional pirate in history is actually not that long of a time spent a pillaging and searching for.
Yeah, so he was only like a pirate for 2 years. Is that just like the captain? So, you know, before that he was like a crew member on a ship and then got promoted to captain or whatever. Like 2 years isn't much time at all.
booty. But what Blackbeard lacked in longevity, he made up for in volume. Blackbeard had a ton of instances over that 2-year period stealing wine, burning ships, and blockading ports. So where does Captain Hook fit into all this? Well, in the spring of 1718, Blackbeard captured a few ships in the Gulf of Honduras, right off the Yucatan Peninsula, and added those to his fleet. Specifically, he was off the coast of the Turneffe Atoll, just east of Belize, which, wouldn't you know it, just happens to be a little tropical atoll with lagoons, crocodiles, flamingos, sea turtles, the whole shebang. As a bosun in Black...
But it doesn't look like the island, it's really long. And then Neverland is, you know, it's a circular island.
Blackbeard's fleet, there's actually historical precedent that Captain Hook would have actually graduated up to the role of captain on one of those commandeered ships in the Turneffe Atoll. In the Peter Pan story, it's specifically the Jolly Roger. And then from there, he drops anchor in Neverland and then gives up his life of pillaging in exchange for sword-fighting little boys and then outrunning a single crocodile. Probably would have been better off if
No, not the best retirement plan.
he just ate a bosun. There is, though, one kind of glaring hole in this that we can't really ignore. If we're going the history route, wouldn't we also have to ignore the timelines? I mean, Blackbeard died in 1718, but the Darling family is clearly from the early 1900s. And we even see things in the movie like the statue of Boudica, which wasn't installed until 1902. Well, it turns out we don't have to ignore the timeline. Even that works out under this theory. We know that once you land in Neverland, you never grow old.
Oh, that's true. So Blackbeard would have just, you know, he wouldn't be aging. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. He wouldn't be aging, so it doesn't matter what time it is in the real world, because in Neverland, you know, age doesn't matter or whatever.
Right? That's kind of the whole shtick of this place. Well, it turns out that Neverland, aka the Turneffe Atoll, is the exact historical region believed to contain the Fountain of Youth. The one geographic feature in the entire world that would actually behave and function like a real-life Neverland. Though most of the stories you hear about the Fountain of Youth in history class talk a lot about Ponce de Leon, who mostly looked for...
Yeah, might have to censor this image. It's a drawing, but there are a lot of people without shirts on, shall we say.
Around Florida, the older and much more accurate historical hunt for it was actually performed by Juan de Solis, an earlier Spanish explorer than old Ponce, who spent all of his time looking for the Fountain of Youth in the Gulf of Honduras. Due mostly to really bad Spanish historical record keeping, Ponce de Leon was actually 1,000 miles off the mark of the area that he was looking for, leaving the Fountain of Youth squarely off the coast of Honduras and in exactly the location we predict for Neverland. So there you have it, everyone. Book
That's
your
crazy.
Spring break for the Turneffe Atoll now, because it's the real location for everlasting childhood. Talk about your once-in-a-lifetime vacation. But hey, that's just a theory.
It's pretty awesome. I want to see what the Turneffe Atoll actually looks like. Let's give me a second. Man, look at that. Look at that. That's so beautiful. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. I think MatPat is probably right in assuming that it is Turneffe Atoll. But I always thought Neverland was on a different planet. I guess because I'm not the brightest apple in the basket, shall we say. In Peter Pan, they're like, you know, follow the star or whatever, right? And I always thought, like, that, you know, legit go to the star. That's what I thought. Go to the star, like fly out outside of Earth and go to the star. So as a kid, I obviously wasn't the brightest, and now I can't believe it. I legit watched Peter Pan with Robin Williams like a couple months ago, and I still thought it was on a different planet. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, possibly share with a friend. If you're new, and subscribe to join the family. Also, make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time.